Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. My name is Louisa Havers, and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs, and coaches lift the lid on life and business so that they can live at their highest value. Each episode, we will bring you our favourite founders, CEOs, and guest experts to share with you their insights and strategies to expand your wealth consciousness, your spiritual leadership, and aligned business strategies. We know that living in alignment with your soul's mission is what fulfills you, and we are here to show you how to achieve this in an energetically aligned way. If you haven't already, be sure to claim your free abundance activation in the Akashic Records. Go to louisahavers.com/gift to unlock your abundance activation today. And if you'd like my support in having aligned success in life and business, then contact me at www.louisahavers.com and let's explore together if it's an aligned match. Get ready to live at your highest value and to expand into your next level of money as you elevate and receive more. You create more for others. Righty ho, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited for our conversation today. Welcome, Tammy Cho. Welcome to the Infinite Prosperity Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Louisa.
Oh, everyone is in for a real treat. So I'm going to share Tammy's bio so everyone who's driving and listening and can't look you up can get a sense of who you are. And then we're going to dive into all the things. So Tammy is a former registered nurse turned international best-selling author and speaker, body whisperer, and chief energy officer. Tammy empowers leaders to embrace their authentic self-leadership and align their energies so that they can expand their capacity to receive greater connection, abundance, and flow in their business and relationships. With 20 plus years of experience in the psycho-spiritual industry, Tammy merges methodologies like face and body analysis, NLP, energy alchemy, and metaphysical laws to serve her clients. Tammy has been featured on Positive Impact TV, Bold Journey magazine, and major news channels like Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, and AP News. That's phenomenal. A huge welcome, Tammy.
Thank you, Louisa. So good to see you and connect. And I'm excited to see what this conversation will unfold and bring.
Oh, me too. Well, when you said that you do face and body analysis, I was like, that's the conversation that we need to have because we haven't had anyone on the show talk about this. And our listeners love everything to do with channeling higher realms of consciousness, manifesting energy alignment. So they're going to really, really love what you have got to share. So let's go back to the kind of beginning, if you like, because I love to find and learn about people's journeys, understand how they got to do what they're doing today. So how did you get started with face and body analysis? I know you've been in the profession for a while. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I love to, Louisa. I always love to hear people's story as well. So totally get it. Yeah, like I mentioned, I used to be a registered nurse, and essentially, I worked from bedside nursing to supervising a hospital, moving people out of emergency into the appropriate beds. And essentially, one day I started having heart palpitations and chest pain reading up my jaw and down my arm. And I was struggling to breathe. And I was starting to hear this radio station in my head. And I essentially got wheeled off to emergency in front of everyone at work.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, working up to there, I knew I was like really struggling and experiencing burnout, right? But I couldn't get myself to let go. And it's like I knew what I needed to do, but I had issues letting myself do it. So anyone been in those shoes before, that was I. And yeah, and it slowed me down because I was that like high achieving person, always wanted to get everything perfect. People came to me for everything. I didn't want to look, not put together, kind of energy. And so it did slow me down, but my true awakening didn't really happen until I had my 6-month-old daughter. And she was lying there on one of those baby Einstein mats. And for the first time, she hit one of those hanging toys intentionally for the first time. And I saw it, but I was so fixated on everything I had to do for this child, couldn't feel any love and connection with her. And honestly, Louisa, if it wasn't for this community nurse that was actually visiting me in that exact moment on my living room couch next to me, I wouldn't have even known like that was where I was at that time. And that really propelled me on my journey because I realized that I was turning into my mom, not physically abandoning me, but emotionally abandoning my own daughter. And so, that really put a fire under my bum because I didn't want to turn out like that. And so I started, venturing into trying to master the mind with personal development and NLP and running masterminds. And I actually became a millionaire in my 30s. And I was still so unhappy on the inside. So I kept on, searching for more. I did different types of things in the realm of energy, from Reiki to bioenergy healing to shamanism and various other things. But I realized when I stopped exchanging energy healing, I was exchanging it 2 to 3 times a week. That when I stopped doing it, I would still experience the anxiety, the depression, everything I was experiencing underneath. And so I kept on going, searching, and I went into 4 years of emotional spiritual healing, and then came full circle to psychosomatic therapy, which is the study of the body, mind, heart, soul connection all in one place, as is expressed through our facial features and our body, our posture, our breathing, how we walk, and how my body was essentially showing me how I was like, really yearning for love and connection, but I was also pushing it away.
Mm.
And so, through this whole journey and putting everything, pulling all the pieces together, it really allowed me to see that it didn't matter. Like, even when I was feeling better from the energy work or I did everything separately, it didn't bring everything into full circle for me. And so it had a lot to do with this receiving factor. And so when I took this method and I started applying it to my business, I also started to see the abundance and flow happen into my business. All right. So it really came down for me, anyways, into this layer within ourselves, is that we really got to be in our bodies and to address all parts of us together, to really experience that full energy alignment, and to actually feel like we're fully ourselves. We're not ignoring these pieces of ourselves. And so that's really why I do what I do today. I'm really passionate about helping people use their own face and body as a way to see where they may be in and out of alignment with themselves, because it's very tangible. You can see it. And so it takes the mind out of it just to come back to the body. And so yeah, that's my story. That's why I'm here doing what I do, Louisa.
Wow, what an experience to have had all of that along the way. I just think it's phenomenal. And having chatted with so many people now, I do find it so fascinating to see how our own journeys lead us to ultimately be doing what we are supposed to be doing. That fulfilling that next level of purpose, that there's always another level, another layer of how we can make a bigger impact in the world. I'm so excited to hear more about how people can really benefit from this very thematic and connection with the mind and the body work that you do. So if we kind of circle back to some of the challenges that you've seen your clients have. So I know you work with high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders. What would you say from from your perspective? What's the biggest challenge that high achievers, entrepreneurs, leaders are facing, right now?
Yeah, definitely. I tend to attract a lot of high achievers who also have a tendency to people please. And although it doesn't necessarily have that, they don't necessarily always think they're people pleasing. There, it gets really gray in the area of you keep on achieving because you're pleasing something that you may be connected or not connected to, but it's like driven by what's outside of us versus what's within ourselves and what we truly want. There's a disconnection, like very competent on the outside. It's nothing to do with competency or intelligence at all. It's just that there's a place where there's a deficiency in how they are able to connect their emotions. Because, many are not taught how to address our emotions, and emotions is directly correlated with energy, because emotions is energy in motion or not emotion.
Mm,
And so I'm seeing that as a very common symptom. Oftentimes, they may have already had a certain level of success, but there's a part of them that feels like, even though they hit the next layer, they feel like something's missing still. They're feeling disconnected, or there's something out of alignment. And because it's hard to really put a finger on it, sometimes there's that hole, there's a void. And so they just keep on doing what they know, which is makes sense, right? Because it's always worked up to this point. But I truly believe we're at an era where we're being called deeper into ourselves, because business is a spiritual journey at the end of it. I'm sure people on your show are aware of that.
yes.
Yeah, and so we're constantly evolving, and so yeah, it's I'm seeing people are definitely coming to me for those kind of reasons, feeling like they hit a wall or a certain level of success, or they have everything, but they feel like something's missing and that things are struggling. They're struggling with relationships or connection is the word they use. So
Yeah. There's so much there, isn't it? Of different ways that the nervous system's been responding and the blocks are showing up energetically. Like you spoke about that um, aspect of the void that people might be feeling, that sort of numbness that can come in that you spoke of in your own journey as well. And certainly that resonates for me when I know that I was experiencing that burnout, that everything just shuts down, that freeze response is kicks in. And then how do you navigate that without being able to uh, trigger going into a further spiral, for want of a better phrase. That this is deep stuff, isn't it, to be able to navigate that. So how does the face and body analysis come into all of this? Tell us all the things.
yeah, and yeah, yeah, it's a very common question because it's not that common of a thing to see, right? And
Yeah.
so it is based on something called psychosomatic therapy, and it is not it's created in Australia, so it's like coming into North America more so.
Mhm.
I'm sure face analysis in itself has been, years and years of like Chinese medical doctors used to use it when they couldn't actually touch someone's body back then, right? It's like just assessing their face and their tongue and things like this. And so the face analysis that I've been trained to do, and with my own spin on it, is that I love, yes, it is where you're looking at someone's facial features to identify their strengths, challenges, identify where they are out of balance, out of alignment within themselves. The left side of their face is the private world, what we like to keep to ourselves, and the right side is this public face that we like to show the world. And so, yes, it is a process of looking at the face to identify personality and conflicts within self, but it's also a process where I support them to not only look at it like, oh, this means eyes means heart, or, lips expression. Like it's not just simple like that. I like to drop people in from their mind into their heart and their body to actually shift their relationship on how they're actually seeing themselves
Mm.
and relating to themselves. Because when we could change how we relate to ourselves, we change how we relate to our world. And so for me, face analysis is a face analysis, but it's also, I feel like it's a deeper thing for me because this is where I'm passionate about bringing people deeper into themselves. Because I feel like we're in a place in our evolution that it's not about learning more strategies. There's always a time for mindset, but without going deeper and bringing depth into ourselves, it's limited, right? And so there's this calling and yearning back to ourselves. And so, yeah, so with the face analysis, it's quite interesting to see how someone actually responds to how your face looks for one. That speaks about a lot energetically, but it's
Mm.
also seeing how they relate to their inner world and how they relate to themselves in the outer world. And are these two parts of them even friends?
I love
So, yeah,
I love that. Are these two parts even friends? That really resonates. One of the things is you were sharing that about the left hand side of the face and the right hand side of the face. That this really resonates. Is thinking about certainly when I know when I've done energy when I'm doing energy work with people, often you will see their face change as they're doing energy work. Different um, I was going to say imbalances start to kind of even out. And one of the things that I'm sure people will recognize this is that their face might not be exactly symmetrical. We have different aspects to our face. One eye might be higher than the other, or an eyebrow might be higher, or an ear might be
mhm,
in a different position, and all those incredible things. Do you include that aspect with what you're doing? I'm just thinking of some of the questions that might
yes,
be on our listeners' minds.
yes, yes. Please ask away. And yes, it's definitely a very important thing when there's asymmetry in the the face because it tells me where they may be giving themselves what they need or not. Like, for example, if there's imbalance with the distance between their eyebrow to the eye, it really shows how much actually someone needs to, um, well, needs to, and is part of their innate need to actually process emotions. And so it tells me where, like, maybe on the outside, they're more super emotional in supporting someone else and having a lot of empathy. And then they have a smaller zone on the inside. This tells me that they don't necessarily know how to be with themselves in that way. Yet, I'll look at their zones in the face, and if their emotional zone is a big part of their leadership and their gifts, this in this lifetime, in this personality, in this vehicle, then it tells me this is a part of themselves that they are being called to deeper. And often this will show in the coloration in the face, with the texture in the face. So yeah, all these pieces really bring people back home, and where sometimes they know, it's just that they haven't chosen to make it priority. And with the inner and outer world has a lot to do with the masculine and feminine as well. And oftentimes how we relate also to money, right? Is also affected how we show up in our relationships. So this is why I say I help people with both the business impact and the relationships, because it's everything is related, and it's time to stop treating them as separate.
Yeah, I agree.
Ah,
I always say it's like how we do one thing is how we do everything, because it's all
mhm.
related. And I know you'll see this as well. When we heal in one area of our life, also when we see the results pop up in a completely different area. The ripple effect is there. It's huge, isn't it? It's absolutely huge.
Yeah, and this is part of the reason why I say help someone step into their authentic self leadership, because when we're in energy alignment, recognizing all these parts of ourselves, and we allow ourselves to actually be ourselves and fully express who we are, and not based on our competition out there or what people are telling us we how we need to be. That's actually the magnetism that is created. And so, stepping into this authentic self leadership is really coming back to self in a way that our mind may make up that it's not necessarily, oh, I don't need to do more inner work. I already done that and did that. That's where the mind comes in. And yeah, it's coming back to deepening this connection and intimacy, because
Mhm.
that is what is going to expand your gifts even more and more, accepting yourself in this way.
Yeah, so true, so true. I love it. So let's dive into this more because you talked about how we shouldn't be thinking of business and life separately. How does all of this work, incredible work that you um, do you see it supporting the whole of the entrepreneurial journey? From whether people are starting out right the way through to those six, seven, eight, nine, 10 figure business owners.
So the question is to see how does all play out, wrapping everything together.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so for me, I just because like, earlier in my years, I made that, my first million, and I still wasn't happy. So to me, success, prosperity, and all of this has a lot to do with um, first of all, how I feel about myself. And also having the abundance in different areas and being able to experience whatever comes into life in a way that is it doesn't affect me, because I can see the bigger picture and I can still ease and flow through it. To me, that feels most um authentic, as authentic success and abundance to me. And so when we are navigating our journey, when we are able to navigate this without ignoring pieces of ourselves, and we know that um emotions, triggers, um everything that happens is actually pointing us a direction back to ourselves, and that when we start to address that and our deeper needs within that, we actually open our capacity to receive. Because I believe a lot of high achieving women have a lot of smarts already. It's not about that, right? It's really about bringing more of ourselves to open up to actually let it in, because that's the pattern I see again and again. And for myself, like, I did all these things, and it wasn't really until I was able to receive myself. And so I like to say I go to, yeah, the core of this, to like, how loving is that to make your, 6, 7 to 10 figure business while deeply loving yourself, aligned to who you are. You get to fully be expressing yourself in this way, you're happy. And through that receiving, you're creating more based on
Mm.
what you really want, because the more we open as we evolve in our journey, we learn to desire more. And sometimes what we desire more of is not what we think we want. And so there's so much congruency that is brought, and a simplicity that as we evolve to building more and more and deepening our connection with ourselves, also deepens our connection not only to the customers but team members, and to how we're able to build a business based on relationship building, where our vision gets so big where our team members could like fit in under our visions and everyone is winning. And so the more we're expanding and visioning and desiring and allowing ourselves to be more of who we are, we're creating that and attracting that in our world. And just by doing that, we are abundance and flow. Like that's our innate part of ourselves. So it's just makes so much sense. And yeah, this is what I'm really passionate about. I get lit out about this, and it's so non-tangible in many ways for many people. I know your crowd, probably gets this. But there's many people out there that don't get that, or we get that in our mind doesn't let us go any deeper with it. We think we're already there.
Mm.
And that's why the face and body is such a good measurement, blueprint, healing guide for ourselves. And we all have this vehicle, so we might as well get to know it.
I love that. Exactly. And like any relationship, we can always go deeper with it. I think that's the thing. You touched on something there that I think is very profound, in that how the subconscious and the mind will try and hold us back by saying, oh, we know enough, or we're already there. We can catch ourselves thinking things that will ultimately be stopping that intimacy that you were talking about, that deep relationship with your body, so that you can really allow yourself to open up and to receive more, and to be able to have it all. We don't have to trade love for money or whatever it might be. Often people will play sort of, I can have this or that, rather than actually I'd like everything to be fully fulfilled in all areas of my life. One of the things I just wanted to ask is that I know that we talk about energy alignment, in our world, but just so everyone's on the same page, what does it mean to you, energy alignment?
Yeah, and I sort of alluded this earlier, but to me, energy alignment has a lot to do with doing with the harmony between the body, mind, heart, soul. Because if we are creating all the income, but our health is not,
Mm.
the where we want it to be, or we're experiencing a repetitive, or maybe a chronic condition, or like chronic body symptom, that we're not connecting that's related. Like
Mhm.
someone was just experiencing like chronic like itchiness for her. It was just like she had to like put ice packs every night to go to bed, and she didn't know what it
Oh.
was, and she was putting all these creams. And psychosomatically, at emotional level, she wasn't allowing herself to desire more. And so when we dived into it, she was essentially ignoring a part of her spirituality. So our body is expression of our soul, and we hear this all the time. But to take this more literally and realize that everything that happens in our body when we're out of alignment with our soul, it's expressed through the body, and it's often filtered through the emotion, and our emotion affects our thoughts. And so for me, being authentic is like knowing ourselves to this level, and that's why when I empower people to learn more about how to listen and what are their bodies actually saying, because this I feel brings us back to a deep authenticity within ourselves, where we're living in a way where our bodies are accountability partner in many ways. And sometimes that's God showing us something, but I feel like our bodies here. Like why not use it? Like we could know when we're on direction with our purpose, through how we walk. And so everything's here. And so I just think it's just a really powerful tool to tap into, to really come back to our authentic self, and back to abundance, and back to love, and back to connection, all these beautiful words that are really true and real.
Mm.
Like we look for all these things out there, but often it comes back to a feeling we want to have anyway. So if we could be
Very
real
true.
with ourselves, and maybe yeah, make decisions based on that side of things. And I think that's where it gets messy too, because emotions is such a different ball game, because we don't we is it coming from an inner child? Is it the ego of the inner child? Is this emotionality part of our natural emotional wave? Like there's so much nuance to it, and that's a big part of what I like to teach people. Because that was a huge journey in myself. I'm very emotional in my face with my zones, and yeah. So that's me. That I believe that I attract a lot of people. I'm not sure if your audience listens to human design.
Oh,
Um,
yes, they do,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's a big part is that 50% of the population are emotionals, and so I do attract a lot of emotionals. Because it gets very confusing when you're emotional and you have these different waves happening, and a lot of times we think there's something wrong and we're trying to fix ourselves. And that never really leads to the right thing. Uh, so yeah. I hope I answered your question. I know I kind of went off there because I get excited about things.
No, it was great, Tammy. There's so much there, and yes, our audience, our listeners do listen. They're all into all the beautiful modalities that are out there, including human design. And we've had some guests come on and talk about human design as well. And I mean, that's a whole. Um, you can go down a whole
Yeah.
rabbit hole with human design, can't
Yes.
you?
Yes. Yes.
It's phenomenal modality, and there's so much depth to be able to work with, and that's fantastic. So you are able to apply that with the face analysis that you do as well.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to incorporate. I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in it per se, but I definitely taken level 1 and 2, and I'm applying it in my current clients. And I could just find a lot of benefits with it. Like it's just pretty amazing stuff, right? So, me, it's about integration,
Yeah.
energy alignment, and that's the energetic blueprint of us. So it just makes so much sense, right? So yeah. So I mean, I'm curious. Does my assessment of energy alignment match yours? I'm curious.
It does. Well, one of the things, so from energy alignment perspective, if I was describing it, I would be saying that it's what we are when we talk about wanting to be aligned, it's about what we desire to be aligned to, and we're aligned to something all the time. So for me, energy alignment is we're always aligned to something, but let's get us aligned to the things that we desire to be aligned with, if that makes sense. So
Mm,
that we're not
mhm,
aligned, the body's not aligned with, let's recreate some more of this pain in the stomach. Let's not recreate some more of, or whatever the symptom is where the body's trying to speak to you to say, hey, there's a thing over here that you're actually currently aligned with that you don't want to be aligned with, because there's that
mm.
disconnect between, what your consciousness is wanting to create and what, the subconscious is revealing to you. So I think there's depth with energy alignment, and certainly I know I would say that out there, I think people talk about it as I want to be in, energetic alignment is being aligned with your desires. I think there's depth depth behind the definition, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, and it's filtered through our lens. Like for me, what I notice is that yeah, like when we are aligned to what our heart truly wants, that is what God is guiding to us anyway. God,
Mm.
spirit, however you want to bring that in. Yeah, and so it's really co-creating happening all the time is just so being connected to ourselves deeply actually keeps us in alignment to the subconscious, so to speak, and so anyway, I think that's my perspective and lens on it just because of my
Yeah.
experience, and so it's beautiful, and we're attracting the people that need to hear exactly what we need to say, and so it's perfect once again.
Yeah, so true. I love it. You talked about authentic self leadership, and I know this is a key part, and I think it's helpful to because we're talking about your lens here, your lens on what is authentic self leadership. Because I think it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment. Authenticity, integrity, all those things. People are talking about it, but what does it mean for you, Tammy, in your world?
Mm. Yeah, like to me, authenticity has so much to do with what we are talking about right now around thought leadership,
Mm,
because it is about fully allowing ourselves to be ourselves, and that the quirkiness, like all the parts of ourselves that we don't think it's good or right to be showing up in this way. Like I believe that the way I show up to my friends is the way I show up in business. We may say different topics, speak about different topics, but to me, being authentic is that I'm the same person in all these different ways.
mm.
Yes, I have my ups and downs, but essence of who I'm being is exactly that. And when there is a place within ourselves that's hiding or not speaking our truth, And I had my journey with this, not realizing I wasn't speaking my truth. I thought like, oh wow, I'm so like expressive now. I'm so excited. And I realized there's again these deeper parts of me that I wasn't speaking up to. And so it's again, it's going deeper and understanding ourselves and being or speaking these words that are scary to speak out there and showing up in the fullness of who we are. And then showing up in that, in your own perspective, is the thought leadership that's needed out in the world for a shift. And your energy of stepping into your authenticity often stems from this full expression of ourselves, but also comes back to this part within ourselves that is um, this part within ourselves that is the um, a deeper shining of our light. There's other piece here that's eluding me right now. Um, but the whole, like, yeah, I remember now. It's the part that we talk about. But we're moving, evoluting into a lot of that belonging,
Mm.
inclusivity, and things like that. Yeah, the whole premise of authenticity has a lot to do with belonging in our body, including all these aspects of ourselves in ourselves. You know, all those diversity. We're diverse when we allow ourselves to be who we are in the weird, quirky way. We deliver a message in a certain way. That's the energy we need to put out there. This is what's happening. This is how it's intertwined. And it all starts with us and
Mm.
spreading, ourselves and our business. And I'm sure, Louisa, you're doing this, and we're all on this journey of doing that. But to me, authenticity has a lot. It's the same energy that's happening in here as out there. They're just putting words to it, and
Yes.
so we know when we're being authentic.
So our
And it's
bodies know.
yeah. And so it's like that's why imposter syndrome is so prevalent out there. No matter what level of business, there's always, that tends to fall in through the cracks somewhere. And a lot of it has to do with this inner outer world. And so to me, that's yeah, to me, I understand how it is a buzzword. I get that. And to me, it just like it means something to my core
Mm.
because of my story. I gave away so much parts of myself. I gave away my body. I gave away my voice, just growing up. I didn't know who I was. And to me, I care about this because I know a lot of people are suffering to some degree, not fully expressing who they are. And so, yeah, it's really about coming back to our worthiness at the end of the day. So,
Yeah. And thank you for speaking to that, because I think it's one of those things where words can become like buzzwords. It's almost like they lose the essence of them, they lose the impact of them. But I think you really brought it to life about how important it is, what the true depth of actually being able to be authentic is, and the impact of when we lead in that way for ourselves, for our businesses, for our family, for everybody, how important that is, and how difficult it can be because we're unpacking all this programming. Like you were saying, you thought you were being authentic before, and then it's like these layers come off, and there's always more layers and blind spots that we might not yet have uncovered as we continue all our healing journeys. It's a lifelong experience.
it is, and so that's why I love to like do the face analysis at the beginning and then also at the end, and as we progress through coaching with my clients, because you can measure, where have I changed, where is there room for improvement, and it's a beautiful, I know it's like a measuring stick, but it's like it's beautiful because it's our face and our body, and we could just love ourselves exactly as we are. It's just relating to ourselves in a whole different way. Um, yeah, and
I
so
love that.
yeah, that's where I spend my time and energy, Louisa.
I love that. And I love that you measure, before and after with the face and the body, because I think it's we need that with um the esoteric, with the healing work. I think our conscious mind likes to have the measuring stick. So we can
Yeah,
conscious mind along for the ride, the journey, the transformation, by being able to have these tangible things that we can see. In addition to, typically, I would imagine friends of your clients are saying, "Oh my gosh, you look so different. You look so well," because they'll start to see the impact of the result, but they might not be able to speak to the nuances that you would be able to speak to because you're, being able to study their face and their body. This is so exciting, this stuff. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not just like, measuring in the face, but it's also their embodiment in it, right? It's also the body shifts and the posture changes and how we walk changes, how we breathe shifts. Um, and yeah, realizing as we evolve through life, this is going to change. And there's some things that are more set in stone, but they change. It takes longer to change. There's some things that we can shift right away. And, just like anything. Yeah, so I do work with, people that are more in their head, so I feel that that's why it's so necessary. I mean, many of us are in our head at some point. I was definitely in my head quite a bit, and your clientele who's so into, energy already, like I feel like being in, understanding energy, sensing energy, right? Like it starts at that level before it manifests in the body. So to me, like being energetically aware, and well, is a very key part to being authentic if we choose to. But that takes presence and space and all these kind of things, So that's a beautiful thing we all have here, everyone listening here. So we are leaders, we're the change makers. It's just a matter of coming back to self again and again, right?
Yeah, so true. Oh my word, there's so much here. Just to kind of wrap this all up, what that you've touched on so much, but what would be the sort of three tips that you'd want entrepreneurs to take away from our conversation today, Tammy?
Sure. So one thing I would say is definitely the presence,
Mhm.
because in the presence is the receiving. So I just can't highlight that enough. I think that's what's missing in the evolution of burnout now, because many people are stuck in this cycle, of hustling, and we lack maybe more presence, and so people forget to create the presence because that's where there's more the receiving of flow. And so I just want to emphasize that maybe something your audience knows already. The other thing I would say is to just remember that your result is not you. What you're achieving is not you. You're whole and beautiful already. I think these are some pieces that many of us forget.
Mhm.
And so I just want to like emphasize that point here. Um, and a third one is I feel like it sounds so simple, but this is something that I see again and again that does block people. It's like accepting where we're at in the moment. Because I think a lot of people are things are happening and they're like, oh, I need to go here, I need to do that, and they forget to just come back to the acceptance. Again, it's a bit of presence, but it's accepting exactly how we feel, where we're at, and to not make ourselves raw. And then to decide from the space of acceptance and self-love of self, and then making our new vision, our next steps based on that energy versus the one that you need to keep on going and fixing. And so yeah, just those are the three that are popping up in my awareness for your peeps.
Thanks so much. Those are huge. They're all write downers, so that's awesome. Awesome. And like you say, we all need these reminders from time to time. And what I know to be true is that everybody will have taken exactly what they need from our conversation today, because it's what their consciousness is going to need right now. So thank you so much for your generosity and your sharing your wisdom and coming and having this conversation with us. And you very generously said you had a beautiful freebie for everybody. Do you want to share what that is, how they can get it? Well, I mean, we'll put all the links below the our conversation, and where in the world do you hang out on all the socials? Give us all the things, Tammy, so people can come and step into your world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll be giving you all my social media links. So instead of like me saying that, I'll just put that out there to just go below and to get the links. And that way I spend my time in Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I will say I also have Energetically Aligned Leaders Facebook group. And so that is something that I've recently navigated, changed the names to be more aligned and authentic with where I'm going. And yeah, I'm really excited about sharing with you guys my new freebie I created. Actually, I decided to call it "Lead Your Authenticity Face Analysis" video series. So I talk a lot about leading with authenticity. So I actually walk you through how to take your photos and all these kind of things. Of course, there's an app that you could just download that's free that will do the face splits for you, and you'll you'll be walked through a journey of seeing where your capacity for leadership is, if where how much you're expressing it, your level of self-awareness in it. But also to walk you through a journey with your inner and outer world so you could really see where that alignment is for yourself. Um, and so it's a five-part series. And so, yeah, please, I love to hear your feedback, and to explore, your faith in this way for the first time, probably. So yeah, I look forward to your any feedback, or just drop me a note on the socials, or at Tammy at pathtotheheart.com.
That's amazing. Well, I'm going to go and download that right now. I'm so intrigued, and I'm sure everybody will as well. That's hugely generous. Thank you so much, Tammy. And thank you for coming and joining us on the Infinite Prosperity podcast.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I feel like I'm just lit up, like your energy and mine. It's just perfect. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody who's joined us for our conversation today. Please do let us know how you have got on listening with this, what's resonated for you, what your light bulbs takeaways are. Do tag us on social media, come and say hello, and share this episode with others that you think would love to hear it. And until next time, we'll see you very, very soon. Lots of love. Thanks for listening to the Infinite Prosperity podcast. And if you like what you've heard and want to know more, please go to louisahavers.com. We just appreciate you so much. So thank you for listening and hanging out with us. If there's anything that we can do for you, you can email us at louisa@louisahavers.com. Let my team know if you have any ideas for shows that you'd love to hear or topics you want me to talk about. Really looking forward to hearing from you. All right, that is it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Until next time, namaste.